yesterday I showed you all these things? That's like half of our worksheet today. It'll be like, what property is this? We actually learned all these properties last year and y'all had a big matching quiz on it. Do I expect you to remember that? No. All right? But we're going to practice today so you'll get more familiar with it. You have to know these for proofs. I already said that yesterday. So what we've got here is, I am recording. They give us all this work. It says, oh, actually, I think I'll just go through it. I won't give you the answer. It says, okay, let me show you the picture and then we'll set it up. These two things are supplementary. It's adjusting. There it is. These two angles, I should have said, they're supplementary. What does that mean?
Like they're right there by each other.
They're beside. They're not.
Oh, they're 180.
They make 180 degrees. They add to 180 degrees. Is everybody okay with that? I'm about to move the picture, but so that you'll know, this one is 2x plus 30. And if I add x, it equals 180. Does everybody agree on that? So, and I'll just kind of show you, this is what they say. First of all, they say, okay, if I add these angles together, it's 180. The reasoning is definition of supplementary. Okay, this is where geometry starts. You have to explain why. Okay, this right here is it's looking like a proof already. So how do I know that I can add these two angles and it's 180? Because it's supplementary. Does everybody understand that? That's why they're saying, because that's what supplementary is. So then, instead of writing the two angles, they write 2x plus 30, and then they write x. They substituted that in. Does that make sense? Instead of writing angle AO, what does it say? Angle AOM, they wrote 2x plus 30. That's substitution, when you just plug something in. Now what would you do? What would be your next step in solving for x right here? This is where I'm looking. What would you do next? What is 2x plus x? 3x. Do they do this? Oh, no, I'm going to do mine different. Let me just write it. Okay. So they have 2x plus 30 plus x equals 180. Okay, so y'all said 2x plus x is 3x. So I get this. Does everybody understand that? What did I do? Did I combine like terms? That would be my reason. Combine like terms. Is everybody good with that? Then what would we do?
Combine, subtract 30.
From
180.
From both sides. Yeah, I'm going to subtract 30. We looked at this a tiny bit yesterday, just for a second. If I subtract 30 from both sides, isn't that subtraction property? Just basic. I just subtracted from both sides. I think they call it subtraction property of equality. But I'm just not even worried about it. I'm like, just subtraction property, okay?
The next one you divide.
Then the next one you divide by 3.
And you get 50.
So what property is that?
Division.
Division property. And there's our answer. So what you've done is you're justifying each step. That's what it means to justify each step. You're just saying, why could I do that? Okay, why did I do that? All right, do y'all want another one?
I think we should move on.
Move on. Let's see. If they give me, I'll do this one up here. Let me put a sheet of paper. They give me this, okay? And they tell me, they give me this little statement that AB bisects those two angles. If it bisects, what does that mean if it bisects?
It goes in between them.
And it splits them up how?
Half.
Into 2 equal parts. Yep, it splits them into 2 equal parts. So I'm just going to try to write on this paper. So the first thing I would say is angle RAB is congruent to angle PAN. Actually, I'm just going to say it's equal.
Did you just like that, Shay?
No.
Why are they equal?
Huh?
Because that's the definition of bisects. Okay?
Bisect.
We're going to go over this a lot the next few days. Okay, you'll get used to all this. It's just, you're already doing proofs and you don't even know it. But I know those are equal because that's what it means to bisect. We already know that. Shh, boys, listen. Now, instead of writing the angles, what can I write? What are they? What are the two angles? X and
2x minus
2x minus 75. So what did I do? Instead of writing the angles, I replaced it. What is that property? Same thing as the last one.
Bro, X is 75.
No, if they added to 180, it'd be supplementary. Boys, listen. Instead of writing the angle, I replaced it with something. What's that property where you replace it? If I wasn't here today, what would they send y'all to be in my spot?
Substitute.
Substitution. That is substitution property. Okay. Then what do I do to solve?
Mine guys.
So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. What property is that?
What? I feel like that's like.
Boys,
So warm.
subtraction property. I'm going to abbreviate. If you have substitution and subtraction, only abbreviate one. Because if they both say sub, I'm not going to have a clue what that is. So see how I wrote that one? I abbreviated this one. If you're going to abbreviate. What's wrong with that?
It's both
It's
negative.
negative.
So I need to switch it. So basically,
Bro, I just told you that like 20 minutes ago. Pour all that extra stuff.
okay, hush, but you have to justify each step. Y'all, the whole point of these problems is justifying the steps. If you don't get your problem right, okay? What did I do to go from here to here?
You multiply.
5,
2.
4, -1, or you could say you divided by -1. I'll write division properly. Okay, how do we cancel on those?
Did you order me some shoes like cans?
No, I did not. You ordered shoes, I told you to. Okay.
I need to get the same kind of soon. I'm copying this book.
Okay. Next one. All right, y'all might want to look at these properties. I kind of went over reflexive, symmetric, and transitive yesterday, but this is more with segments and angles. Boys, pay attention. So this says, if you just rename it, you're just saying that they're congruent.
Bro, what's that
This
squiggly line?
segment, this is congruent. It's not. It's the same thing as equal because it's
Why is it-
different.
Why is it both of them? Like what? If they
Because
do the same thing-
congruent, parts are congruent, numbers are equal. So I can say the measure of this angle equals the measure of this angle. But if I'm not talking about the numbers, then I'll just say, oh, the angles are congruent. Okay, I don't say angles are equal, I say angles are congruent. Their measures are equal. It's just a geometry thing, accept it. All right, so reflexive property just says, hey, that segment is congruent to itself. Or angle A is congruent to itself. It's actually, it seems stupid, but it's very important. Okay, if I had this picture right here of these two triangles, do you notice that that segment is in the triangle on the left? What else is it in? The triangle on the right. So it's going to be very important. Why is it congruent to itself? Because it's actually in two different triangles. That's a pretty far away, but that's why we're learning that. When it's congruent to itself, that's reflexive property. Symmetric property, you just kind of flip it. If AB is congruent to CD, then CD is congruent to AB. If A is congruent to B, then B is congruent to A. That's symmetric property. And transitive property was my height problem yesterday, remember? That I did for the boys. Okay? So you're just saying the pieces. Again, I'll say it because I don't think I recorded it yesterday. If Cannon is the same height as Shay, and Shay is the same height as Hayden,
I mean, Hayden's
then
that height.
Cannon and Hayden are the same height. That's all this is saying. If this segment is the same as this one, and then CD is the same as EF, then AB and EF are congruent, are the same. Does that make sense, y'all, transitive property? So when you see transitive property, y'all will always think of their height. Cannon and Hayden being the same height. Okay? So. Huh? You need to write? Okay, that's fine, you can write. Shh. Let's see, I've got like 5 more minutes, I think.
Wait, bro, is it That one is that one. Ooh, that's so.
Shh, boys. Shh.
The 10.
Are y'all cold?
Yes, no.
What size? 11.
Somebody
Mine
say.
are 10. That half. Mine are actually half.
Wait. Because if I'm getting the soul, okay, I'm gonna need 11. Do I just go 12?
I thought you would.
Mine is
Go
11.
12?
I thought you
Yeah,
already wore
mine
12.
are. I need
Yeah,
11.
but I don't need them because these don't fit. I need them for the drip, bro.
Yeah, the drip is
But
The
you
drip
need the
fine now.
whites.
And you know,
Yes,
Hey,
ma'am.
put your phone up.
fine now.
Put your
I
phone
need
up.
size 11.
Okay, y'all, let's look at, are we ready to see our practice? Not yet? I'll come back to it in a second. All right, real quick, let's look at these practice problems. I'm going to hide my answers over here. Okay, so what property is this? Look at this problem right here, problem A. What step did I just do?
Property of addition.
Did I
Subtraction.
subtracted. I subtracted 9 from both sides. Does everybody see that? So that one is subtraction property of equality. You don't have to put of equality. Okay?
What's the category?
Not right now, Hayden. Okay, what is this property? If O is congruent, boys, girls, if O is congruent to W, W is congruent to L, then O is congruent to L.
Property of
Transition.
Transitive property.
Transition.
Transitive property.
Transgender.
Okay? It's just transitive property.
Trans.
All right? If angle E is congruent to angle T, and angle T is congruent to angle E, where you just flip it around. What's that?
Converse.
Symmetric.
So.
Symmetric.
Okay.
Okay? You'll have, these are on your worksheet in a little bit. Okay. Let's see. What is the property for A? AR is congruent to TY. We just did that. TY is congruent to AR. You flipped it around. Symmetric again. Okay? Shh. Oh, so A is boys. Shh. A is symmetric. What is B? What did we do on part B? When y'all don't understand.
Addition.
I'm locked.
Okay, but what property? We did multiply, but we didn't multiply on both sides of the equation. What did we do on B? From first step to second step?
Divided.
No.
Multiply.
Look at part B. If you looked at that problem and I said, what are we going to do first? What would you say?
Multiply 3 by x.
Multiply by 3. What do we call that when the number's outside parentheses? What do we distribute? Distributive property. B is distributive property. Okay? We distributed the 3. Yes, all you're doing, you're justifying your answers. Okay? What about C? What do we do on C?
Property of division.
Yeah, you could either say division property or you could have said multiplication property. Either one works on that one actually. Okay.
1/4.
Yep, it would be 7 times 4 or 7 divided by 1/4. Either one of those works for me. Okay, how do we feel on those so far?
I'm loving it.
Really? Because this is proofs. This is proofs. Okay. So now let's look at a proof. These are if I'm going to do a proof, this is what I prefer. It is a 2-column proof. Okay? Where you will write, so they will give you some information. The first part is always like a guaranteed 1 point if you're writing these out. Boys, y'all pay attention. Okay. You write here what's given, and your reason that you can write that is because it was given to you. You're always guaranteed 1 point on your proof. If you just write that, you write what was given to you, and your reason is because it was given to you. But this is a 2-column proof. It's what it looks like. Boys, we would just go through and our proof and say what it is. Okay, like each little step. I'll get to that in a second. All I want you to see is this is what a 2-column proof looks like. Are we okay with this so far? Maybe? Okay. Now, let's do one of these. I want to cover this up. I think I'll cover this up right here. Okay. It says, write a 2-column proof. If they tell us that angle 1 is equal to if angle 1 is equal to angle 3, if their measures are equal, then I don't know if I want to do this one first. I don't think I do. I think I want to do this one. This one looks good. Sorry. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to start with this one. Okay. We have C as the midpoint of AD. Sorry. So this is our first one. They give us a little picture. They want us to prove that X equals 6. I think this is a good start for proofs. Y'all, if y'all miss this and don't get it, you're pretty much screwed the whole year. If you don't start there will be 2 or more, at least 2 on every test. Most likely what I do is I'll just let you pick to do 1 or 2 of the proofs if I put more than that. But if you can't pay attention to a proof, you're not guaranteed. That knocks you out of an A on any test for the rest of the year. Okay, so the first thing you're going to say is what? What did I tell you the first part of your proof is?
Given.
What is given? So they wrote that down. C is the midpoint of AD, and then they told me, then I would write given. So this is where I would put given. I'm trying to start it off, we're going to start it off easy on proofs. Eventually, you have to write everything by yourself. But for like these first 2 chapters, it's like fill in the blank. Okay? So, baby steps. Is everybody okay with part 1?
Yes.
Now, what do we know about a midpoint? If C is the midpoint, what do I know about those 2 pieces?
They're the same.
They're the same. So, watch their next part. It says AC is congruent to CD. Isn't that what you just told me? Because that's the definition of what?
Symmetric property.
Of midpoint. That's the definition of midpoint. Okay? That's what I would write for that one. Definition of midpoint. Sometimes I don't write exactly what they do, but it's similar, it's close enough. So that's what that means. If it's the midpoint, it splits it up into 2 equal segments, right? So that's all I wrote. Then they tell me that AC equals CD. Okay, I would skip this step if it were me. Segments have equal lengths. I wouldn't even put either one of those steps if it was my proof. Okay, and notice that's why they give you both parts. I would just skip that step. So if I know that they're equal though, what can I replace it with? What can I replace AC with?
CD.
Oh, 80.
No, look at your problem up there. What is AC? Can somebody tell me what it is?
4x.
4x. And what is CD?
2x
2x
plus 12.
plus-
And if I replace that in there, what property is that?
Property of.
Addition.
If they replace me today with somebody else,
Substitution.
substitution. When you put something else, when you replace it, you substitute it in. So that would have been my next thing to say. 4x equals 2x plus 12, and I would call that one substitution. So me personally, I wouldn't have even done this step, but okay. Then what do we do? What do you do from here to get to your next? What's your next step?
Divide. Oh, and for that one, we subtract.
Subtract 2x from each side. So is that so that's subtraction property? So I actually have to write the answer. It's backwards. So if I subtracted 2x from each side, let me do that. 2x plus 12. So I get 2x equals 12. Then what do I do?
Next step is division.
Divide. So I'll divide both sides by 2.
6.
So I write what? They wrote the answer. I have to write division property. And it would be division property of equality, but I'm just writing division property. Is everybody okay?
So we don't have to write inequality at the end?
And I'm done. No. Now, if it's multiple choice, it's going to say division property of equality. And y'all, what did I prove?
X equals 6.
There we go. That's all I had to do.
We did.
So you go through your steps, okay? That's a proof. That's a 2-column proof. How do we feel? Terrible? We're okay? Baby steps. Okay, let me see the time. It's 9:30, so it's time for the news. But while y'all watch, I am going to give you this paper, and I recommend skipping number 2. And we're going to start on this today. We're going to finish this tomorrow.
You know?
But,
Nope.